Good morning. Hello, sovereigns. The sanctions are lifted. I am free. The 10th of December. Look at the weather. Be careful if you're going outside. Be very careful. Let's hope the councils have put the grit down. So yeah, I've had some sanctions put on my account for the last week, so I've taken time to focus behind the scenes on some plan and structure going forward for 2018. I posted just bore I got banned. I posted, or I was my account was sanctioned. I posted some updates about Dubai, Sophia, the artificial intelligence, becoming a citizen of Dubai. I posted about Theresa May, the Conservative second in command, the data that was found on his computer relating to pornography. I posted about quite a few political, topical issues. I don't know why. I posted about hydrogen technology in a few groups as well, and then I just got a message saying that my account was subject to review. So while I've been away, what have I done? I just focused. I wasn't really much use, to be fair. I become a beneficiary of SPLs in essence. I wasn't able to administer or to I wasn't able to do my usual role, so I handed it over to the mods and the admins who have done what they usually do and looked after you and informed you as best they can. So I become a beneficiary, which was quite interesting to see the other side of the coin. I took the week out. We were building, I am building, and creating a private forum as promised, with the funds raised from the donations that you've given and the gifts of the t-shirts. www.splspro.com is up and running. You can't add yourself or become a member yet. You're not able to do that. The website will be at least another week before it's ready for you to come on and get logged in and enroll on it. But what I'm aiming to do is to develop a private site hosted and using WordPress is the background running of it, and it's got an application in WordPress called BuddyPress. That's the ultimate platform. So if anybody's got any ideas or information about BuddyPress, how you can create and format, forums and profiles on there, give me a nudge, because I have built, this is the third website that I've built in about a year, and I haven't gone to college or down the academic route of learning how to build websites. YouTube videos, talking to friends, information and advice that I've picked up along the way. That's primarily how we've picked it up. So I've done www.sovereignparalegals.uk. That was the first one done with GoDaddy, and yeah, I'm happy with that. But it doesn't have the interactive chat function. It doesn't have any members side. It doesn't have a group forum, things like that. So it's not able to have any bolt-ons or anything added onto that site, unfortunately. So we've spent some more money. I bought a second domain for us, which is a .com domain. I've taken advice from Warren and various members, and thanks for all your advice, guys. I looked at the domains and the sites and how much they are to be hosted for free, and what you get for free, and how much data transfer you get, what bandwidth you get, how many connections you get, and then you have to start to look at paying. So I did look at some of the, we're gonna go for a full 2,500 2,600 member transfer to this private site, and then this Facebook page will be left here. This group will still be here, but in 2018 we need to continue with the private move and go to our own private domain. You'll all have to register. You'll have your own profiles. It will not be like Facebook, okay? Remember what I've just said. I'm not trained, I'm not qualified, I'm not accredited. I've just tried to do the best I can with learning on how to build websites, taken advice from you guys in here. I've looked at various websites and tutorials. I've watched about 15 hours of website tutorials. I've looked at some of the big companies' websites, how they're laid out, what templates they use, how they lay out the menu functions, all that kind of stuff. So a lot of work in the last week has gone into researching and looking how to put codes into the back end of websites in order to to recreate the theme that I've been given. So we get given a theme and then we have to change the theme and tell the theme how to deal with your messages, with your profile, with your emails, with your accounts. It's not like setting up a .com website where you just sell stuff, do you know what I mean? So bear with me on that. Anybody that's got advice or that wants to meet up, who's got expert knowledge in this, you can get in touch through the usual channels. What have we got? The email for spls.com. I'm not sure of that. I forgot what it is, but I'll update you. So I've got quite a bit to read through. The last week, like I say, I've been doing some research. I've been going through a video that was sent to us. The Bernician, I think it was. The Bernician, I posted a video from him that was done in 2012 where they declared a treaty and their sovereign independence. So this was posted by one of our members. It was sent via private message, I think, by Matthew B. Excuse me, I'm still waking up. I'm getting this video done as I'm excited to have my account back fully sanction free, and I've got a lot to do, so I want to make sure I get this done first. But I haven't been awake long. So yeah, 2018, our aim is still regarding freedom, peace, equity, truth, unconditional love and common unity. We're going to look up to set up a board of trustees. Yeah, so there will be the people that manage SPL's pro.com. Once we go to the pro.com website, we will still manage and inform in this Facebook family, common unity, but we will primarily manage everything and move across to the private domain for legal and private reasons, you see. So the structure is going to change somewhat with the introduction of this forum, with this group, with going over to the private. So we're going to set up a board of trustees, settlers, grantors, and you, the members, are going to be the beneficiaries. Yeah, the last 7 days I've had a ban and I've been a beneficiary, looking at what's going off, looking at how the group's done. I've explained why I believe I was banned, posting about the issue with the UK citizen in Iran and Boris Johnson's incompetent bumbling and how he handled that. That's still in the news at the minute, I believe, about Sophia, about the AI, about hydrogen technology, things like that. So I'm not sure why. So this last week, yeah, I focused in the background, I've been focusing on the future, on what we're going to do, how we're going to structure it. You guys are asking how to express a trust, what we do with a trust, how we manage these, what we do to protect ourselves. So this is going to be discussed at the next upcoming seminar. That will be sometime in January, as soon as we all get settled down after the new year, back into the usual rat race. We'll see what the weather's doing, and we'll hold the seminar. And this is going to be one of the primary goals of why we'll be, meeting. I will post this statement, this information that I'm going to read from to you. It's got a copy of a treaty that was done by it's a proclamation of independence, sovereignty and jurisdiction. So you're going to get some of this read to you by the Universal Community Trust. I've taken it from their website. All links, as usual, will be posted here and displayed. So what do we have for you? Treaty of a Sovereign Universal Community Trust. It was done on the 1st of June on 2013 by Anarcho Mission. And the treaty was opened for ratification on the 62nd day of the 313th year of the Dupara Ascending, 21st of June 2012 CE, and has thus far been duly ratified by 25 independent sovereign nations of indigenous peoples, with several others having expressed the intent to do so at the earliest opportunity, thereby establishing the supreme jurisdiction of Universal Community Trust upon the earth under guiding principles of natural law. So what I'm going to do here is read out the 14 pages that I've got from this website after reviewing the video, after reviewing the content, and after seeing the actual information that was presented by these people in 2012 and the treaty and the declaration of which they've performed. So a treaty is a written agreement between two or more sovereign nations or states. It means used as a function word to indicate origin or derivation. Universal, that which exists in and of the material universe. Community, a group of sentient beings living together in common unity. We like that. Community, common unity. Trust, the faithful reliance upon that which we do not control. For the avoidance of doubt, the terms mankind, men and man include both male and female genders of our species, being, which used in singular or plural form unless otherwise specified. So what we've got is a proclamation of independence, sovereignty and jurisdiction. Wow, it's going to be about an hour, guys, get ready. Let it be known by all concerned and affected and interested parties that the independence and sovereignty of the Anglo communities of indigenous free peoples who ratify this treaty are hereby proclaimed, declared and affirmed without equivocation, and is vested solely in the men and women of those communities, both individually and collectively. Notwithstanding the fact their representatives may be authorised by each to act in a sovereign capacity on their collective behalf in a strictly limited set of circumstances. It's excellent. Such as those mankind currently finds itself in, for the purposes of achieving the inter-community consensus required to establish a supreme jurisdiction under the guiding principles of natural law, supplemented and interpreted in this treaty of a sovereign universal community trust, with a view to peacefully bringing about the following aims and objectives. Are you ready? Wow. An end to all crimes against mankind and the earth that are currently being perpetuated by governments, whether elected or not, corporations, organisations, individuals and legal entities of all natures and descriptions. Number 2, the dismantling of all industries which, by developing, manufacturing and exploiting for profit any substance, product or byproduct, cause actual damage, harm, injury or loss to mankind and or damage the earth. Jack Fresco, Venus Project, Ubuntu. That's a modification add-on already that I've got for that to go into there for the declaration. Number 3, the deconstruction and unsustainable fiscal systems that would facilitate one man to have and one man to have not, including, without limitation, the abolition of usury in all its forms and the demonopolisation of land rights, international borders, mediums of exchange, trading platforms and the means of communicating, publishing and distributing information. Number 4, the nullifying settlement and or discharge of all outstanding or allegedly owed debts, obligations and liabilities, with a view to replacing unaccountable, unsustainable and inequitable usury-based financial systems with localised and autonomous permanent credit facilities or depositories, not repositories, depositories, in every community that stands under the jurisdiction of the Universal Community Trust. Well, the Universal Community Trust is where I've taken this from, and this was done in 2012, and I've taken it from the Bernician channel. What we're going to look at doing is making a trust, a sovereign universal or a sovereign community trust, which will then be put into a universal community trust, which would then form as a, from what I understand, a shell trust or an outer trust. And then you would have a trust within a trust within a trust, and when you do that, you are layered and you are protected. This is all up for negotiation, discussion, evaluation. The next seminar, this is what we're going to do. We're going to propose a treaty, ratify it, and do a declaration. And number 5, the eradication of all forms of artificial scarcity and its effects, man-made scarcity, including homelessness, famine and disease, by and through the facilitation of a naturally abundant, peaceful, free and harmonious environment for mankind to dwell, and the distribution of organic materials, agricultural produce, seeds and proven natural health remedies. Number 6, the dissolution of mankind's independence upon fossil fuel industries for the production of energy. This is really I'm doing the hydrogen now just to focus on this area. Including, without limitation, coal, seam gas mining, coal-fired power stations, oil drilling, fracking, as well as the cessation of all toxic pollution of the biosphere of the earth in any detrimental form whatsoever, whether it be gaseous, liquid, solid, radioactive, Fukushima, and the closure and the cleanup of all unsafe nuclear power facilities. Number 7, the rapid development, manufacture, distribution and implementation of new and existing free and clean energy technologies in every common unity upon the earth under the universal or the sovereign universal community trust yet to be established. Number 8, a ceasefire in all wars. We know about wars, we know about the ones we can see, and we know about the ones that we can't, and what the legal implied definition of wars is. The repatriation of all armed services personnel following the repudiation of all unlawful allegiances and the setting aside of all oaths made in the service of private interest to the detriment of mankind, and the unequivocal commitment of the parties to this treaty to recall and withdraw any and all beneficiaries of universal community or sovereign trust from every armed conflict at the earliest opportunity. Wow. Number 9, the establishment of cooperative trade networks in and between all communities with a view to promoting the localization of trade, self-sufficiency, mutual cooperation and the eventual replacement of money, currency, debt, sweat equity and unconditional pledges of sweat equity, which shall form the basis for the permanent credit of every beneficiary of the sovereign community trust. Number 10, an agreement that privately issued promissory notes made payable to bearer on demand by any grantor, trustee or beneficiary of the sovereign universal community trust treaty of a sovereign universal community trust may be used for the purposes of settling any valid financial obligation or to create credits in their account held at the community's depository, the balance of which will be transferable to any account in another jurisdiction, provided those credits are not used for any purpose that is detrimental to mankind and or the earth. This is epic, guys, get ready. Number 11, the nullifying of any and all judicial proceedings and convictions for victimless crimes, as well as the positive law which legalised such unlawful proceedings, and the prohibition and prevention of any man being charged with future crimes. Now there's a thought, isn't it? That's a nice idea. Number 11 as well. It's my favourite lucky number, and that's quite poignant, we'll say. Number 12, the facilitation and the re-emergence of the universal bond of common unity between the free indigenous Anglo peoples and peoples of the earth in order to achieve these aims and objectives in the most peaceful, amicable and equitable matters. Repudiation of presumed jurisdictions and authorities. Having agreed that the presumption of the authority to act upon the people or any nation or community must necessarily be derived from their consent to be regulated by the rules governing any lawful established jurisdiction. It is observable that almost every common unity or community of peoples on the earth currently live under a system which do not meet their needs. The controllers of which, or leaders, the leadership board and team, are able to use coercion and manipulation under the threat of force, Big Barry, violence and or incarceration in order to gain acquiescence to their positive laws, to which most of the people who populate the earth have not given their free and unambiguous consent. Disclosure, informed, non-informed, you see, as is the well-established principle of lawful governance. In other words, the current system is a globally impossessed hegemony of private vested interests, the service of which has been detrimental to the beautiful and naturally bountiful earth, as well as systematically deconstructing the universal bond of common unity between its peoples and man. We'll just change that to man. Without which freedom, peace, abundance and mutually beneficial cooperation between nations cannot exist. I'd change nations as well to countries or land masses, because a nation, implied meaning of the word nation and when they were created, is not ultimately the best word to use there in your declaration. It is therefore declared without division that the indigenous nations standing under Universal Sovereign Common Unity Trust or Treaty of a Sovereign Unity Community Trust have denied or revoked their citizenship and their consent to be governed under the laws of any other jurisdiction, whilst every jurisdictional claim by any purported ruling authority is repudiated by the execution of this treaty for and on behalf of every member of every country, landmass, nation party to it. So let's just take a pause here. Matthew A, we'll say now. We're going to quote you, a conversation I had the other day. If somebody that lives on your road consents to being gay, whether that be a man or a woman, and they consent to homosexual, they are consenting to homosexual behaviour. Just because somebody on your street consents to homosexual behaviour, which is fine, and I'm just using that as an example, doesn't mean to say everybody else on the street has to consent to using homosexual behaviour, does it? Or interests or preferences, or, you know, it's down to your individual choice and belief system. Done. Enough said. Choice and belief system are the two key words there, not anything to do with homosexuality or man or woman. Consent, choice, belief. Henceforth, all disputes and or complaints lodged by or against any grantor, trustee or beneficiary of Universal Sovereign Community Trust will be settled or heard in arbitration proceedings or before a jury of 13 of their peers. 13. That's why we're also looking for 13 trustees, you see. We're going to use these for the same public duties that will be required to perform. When we say trustees, it means that we're going to make you trustees in a knowledgeable way, and it's going to be agreed and set up. It's not going to be that you're going to be trustees and liable for everything and financially penalised, no. Unless otherwise ambiguously agreed between the parties concerned and subject to the provisions of this treaty regarding the formations of a supreme grand jury and any duly ratified amendments. Amendments to this treaty. Amendments may be proposed by the formal or written proposal of any trustee of a sovereign community trust for and on behalf of any of its beneficiaries, which shall be presented for consideration at a convention of the founding trustees of Universal Community Trust. Now that's the people that's done this in 2012. These aren't my words. I've modified some bits, I've reconstructed some bits, and we need to have a look at how we could, you know, get in touch and obviously follow on and get in in the picture with where these guys are at, what they're doing now, how many trusts there are, looking at which sovereign nations have allegedly pledged and signed up, things like that. But this is what 2018 and the next seminar is going to be used for. Every proposal for an amendment that has the unanimous support of the nations who ratify this treaty will be brought into force and in effect by its inclusion into this instrument, as if the amendment was set forth in the original treaty, provided that it is duly ratified under the seal of Universal Community Trust, whether at a convention or otherwise, in acknowledgement of the ancient usages, rights and customs of the free indigenous and Anglo men peoples of the earth. The parties to this treaty agree as follows. There are three foundations of every community, and they are peaceful possession and equity for all. There are three foundations of every community: common unity, peaceful possession and equity for all. There are three foundations of equity, and they are protection, correction and natural justice. Going all right here, guys. It's halfway through. There are three protections and securities for every member of the community of life, the body of the plate of life and the body of the place we make a home and of our natural rights. There are three protections and security for every member of the community of life and the body of the place we make a home and of our natural rights. So natural rights, home and body. So you've got every member of the community of life. There are three things which promote common unity: empathy, respect and unconditional love for our fellow man, which are all things that we practice and embody and part of our ethos and ethics at present and going forward, what we've set out, what some of our our taglines and causes are. There are three things which strengthen common unity: effective protection and security for every man and his property, just correction for wherever it is required, and forgiveness derived from an equitable cause. Effective protection and security for every man and his property, just correction, whatever it is, required, and forgiveness derived from an equitable cause. There are three things that destroy common unity: cruel and unjust punishments, forgiveness derived from blind respect and partiality, and false judgment where no man can obtain natural protection. There are three pillars of every community: sovereignty of the individual and the nation, the voice of the people, and equitable resolutions of disputes and complaints. There are three things which ought to belong to each of these three pillars: equity to all, protection and defence to all, and open source information for the instruction, knowledge and records to all. So this bit caught my eye because Sovereign Paralegals, SPLspro.com, the three things which ought to be belonging to each of these three pillars: equity to all, which we didn't have, we've only just started to grasp, we're 6 months into that. This was brought to us in late June, early July, so we brought this to the table within the last 6 months, and the progress that we're making is it's in its infantile stages. We have got the advantage of having Richard Ansar, some of the trust and equity insights that he's brought to us, the seminars, the webinars, for those of you that have joined and signed up for that, the free 7-day trial, the video introduction into trust and equity that we've posted. So we've only been in this game 6 months, guys. We've only been open 2 years. It's epic where we are, and I can't believe I'm reading out such an instrument as this 2 years into 2 years into the game. There are three elements of equitable resolutions: right knowledge, natural right, and conscientious rectitude. Conscientious rectitude. There are three energies of equitable resolutions: a learned arbitrator or jury, a faithful witness, and a conscientious verdict. There are 3 mandatory qualifications for every jury or arbitrator of a dispute or complaint: a full and complete knowledge of the facts of the matter, the customs of the community, and the tendencies and consequences of the times. There are 3 things which every arbitrator should constantly study: natural truth, conscientious forgiveness, and the energetic dictates of knowledge. There are 3 indispensabilities of every community: the sovereignty of the self-governed, the voice of the people being heard without prejudice, and the consistent and unbiased administration of equity. We are only informing you on how you want or may wish to be identified. When you identify with the legal system, when you identify with any constructed agreement and things like that, you need to know how to identify ultimately. We are not here to tell you and to guide you, you know, and to tell you what to do. We're telling you what your options are and what you may do. We are not going to accept public liability, full liability, or any kind of liability for the actions of which you may choose to take, and then come back and say to us that our information or our, you know, direction is incorrect, or, you know, we say that from the outset. It's in the pin post. All we do is inform you. This is not legal advice. This is for information and educational purposes only. If you do want legal advice, I suggest you go and find a solicitor. So, there are 3 universal binding actions that should require the verdict of a supreme grand jury of 13 sovereign representatives. These are the targets. We need 13 sovereign representatives. And what that means, people, is we need 13 trustees for SPLs. .uk, for splspro.com, and for the SPLs Trust and the trust title that we have. We'll start that again. So there are 3 universally binding actions that should require the verdict of a supreme grand jury of 13 sovereign representatives to effect in any nation, country, landmass the deposition of a de facto government or acting sovereign paramount, the banishment of criminal religious institutions and monarchies, and the equitable reclamation of the lands, resources and properties unlawfully held by such parties, and the suspension or repudiation of laws and instruments that do not benefit mankind, man, or cause damage to the earth. Beauty, that is. There are 3 unalienable birthrights: the right to peaceful possession of a parcel of land. A parcel of land. I do like that word to check. Parcel of land. Legal. Get on that, guys. What's a parcel of land? Fit for the purposes of building a home, growing food and raising a family, with unrestricted access to clean, unpolluted water. That means no hydrochloride, no fluoride, no deposits of poisonous metals, please. As well as the minerals below and the airspace above it. The right to use all necessary and reasonable defences to protect the body, family and property from theft, fraud, damage, harm, injury and loss, and the right of self-determination and governance under natural law. There are 3 guarantees of every community which has the voluntary consent of its sovereign people, which are security for life and limb, security for property held in peaceful possession without malfeasance, theft or fraud, and security of the right to self-determination and governance. There are 3 things the safety of which depends on that of the others: the sovereignty of the people, the integrity and fairness of a nation's domestic and foreign policies, and a consistent and unbiased administration of equity. There are three things free to everybody upon the earth, the refusal of which no law can justify: food from an abundant field, forest or orchard, water from a spring, river, tap or well. For any individual or family in dire need of sustenance, firing from a decayed tree or fence. Let's turn over the page. And peaceful possession of a dwelling or land not in fair use or proven to be rightfully held, following due public notice of a claim by a landless or homeless individual or family community. So where you've got these derelict old council houses, houses that have been there for ages, people that have just got property and it's sat there not doing anything, what they are proposing within this is that not just you've got a birthright, a claim of right and things like that to your land, your entitlement, how you actually are, you know, how you identify, your identification. They're saying that there is a right, a bit like squatters' right, and we've looked at that previously about a year and a half ago, about the land rights, the squatters' rights, the notice of equitable interest, and how they get around certain legislation and acts, you know, statutory. Possession is 9/10 of the law. That's where we went all biblical, I remember, and we got down into the scriptures. And before you bind and bond a man, you must first, you know, massive and epic. Anyway, we continue on. There are three thieves who should not suffer proceedings against them. Wait for it, just wait. Any individual compelled under the force of another, any child under 16 years, well, it's now would be 18 because the school and the change of that, I'd say 18 years, but child 16 to 18, and anybody who is suffering from any form of generally accepted mental illness, incapacity or disease. Because that's not happening at the minute. How many people with mental health and dispositions and that aren't recognised by the system do something? This is even people that you guys that are in the, you know, ex-forces, things like that. People with post-traumatic stress disorder, people that the National Health Service fail to address, see, find up, follow up on. The duty of care is neglected. Then these people are later caught up in some legal fracas, and then you know, they end up doing stuff to try and settle it out of desperation, out of being we would call them vulnerable, the vulnerable members. There are three rightful applications of equity: prevention of actual suffering, harm, injury, damage and loss, compensation and or restitution for all injured parties, and assurance of equitable resolutions, peaceful civil proceedings and the reconciliation of the accused with their accusers. There are three sacred conventions of the Universal Community Trust. Convention of families assembled, families, you see the word families there, that's why we are a family and we are brothers and sisters, and we are not on board the friendship, you see. We say peace and love for a reason, not because we like hugging trees and we wear pink and, you know, flowers and that. You know, I've got a bit of pink on here. It's a spiritual identification measure. So, there are three sacred conventions of a universal community or sovereign trust. A convention of families assembled for the purpose of founding a community or common unity. A convention of arbitrators for the purpose of administering equity. And a convention of sovereign common unity trusts or community trust assembled for the purposes of establishing independence, accession and jurisdiction. Wow. It is self-evident that freedom cannot coexist with inequality of rights and restrictions when you have got entitlements and benefits, taxation of labour or sweat equity, and the restriction of our freedom to come and go as we please. There's stuff I want to add to that, but move on because it's getting on how long we've been going on. Any sovereign nation any sovereign nation or landmass of free indigenous man or peoples is necessarily ruined by inordinate privileges for the few, 1% elite. The people that we pointed out, corruption of justice and a general national apathy to injustices, blind eyes, miscarriages of justices, which have become prevalent in a so-called modern society. What have we posted about the blockchain information? We're in the 4th industrial revolution. When we say so-called modern societies, we'll go 4th industrial revolution on that one. Long-lasting peace under natural law cannot be established without an end to all wars between all present nations. The demonopolization of land rights and natural resources and the repudiation of the laws that were made by mankind and its establishments and or people in their official states, wards of the states, to its own detriment and that of the earth. Let it be known by all that no law can unman a man or uncall a calling. Let it be known by all that no law can unman a man or uncall a calling. Wherefore, in the indomitable spirit of altruism, united by our similarities as well as our individual uniqueness, we hereby stand in common unity to affirm the following principles as the foundations of our sovereign universal community trust. Here we go again, page 9 out of 13. I think I need a drink. Natural law, also known as the laws of nature. It is that which the universal causation of all that is, Creator, God, Allah, the Supreme Being, Yahweh, the one with no name, the universe, or however so described according to subjective preference or faith, has prescribed to all mankind, not by any formal promulgation, but by the internal guidance of reason with heartfelt resonance alone. Number 2, natural law forms the permanent and underlying basis of all law, and theories of natural law have been an integral part of jurisprudence throughout the history of man-made laws. Number 3, we must therefore distinguish between natural law and positive law, which is the body of law created by mankind. Natural law is always superior to positive law. There's little rules in equity I could quote there and some maxims and things, but we'll let you fill in them blanks. The principles of natural law derive from the universal or divine law, otherwise known as the laws of nature. Natural law dictates that man must be allowed to exercise his own free will, but not without bearing responsibility for his actions. He who creates must provide things like that, harm, injury and loss. Common law is that which derives its force and authority from the consent and the immemorial practice of the people within any common unity or at present community. It has never received the sanction of the legislature. It has never received the sanction of the legislature by an express act, which is the criterion by which it is to be distinguished from statute law, which is inferior in every respect to common law. Let's read this again. Number 7. Common law is that which derives its force and authority from the consent and immemorial practice of the people within any community. It has never received the sanction of the legislature by an express act, which is the criterion by which it is to be distinguished from statute law, which is inferior in every respect to common law. Number 8. In accord with the laws of nature, common law dictates that all men, women and women, both sexes, are free to do what they choose for themselves. You have choice. We have choice. Remember that. You always have a choice. provided they do not infringe the unalienable rights of another to do the same. Unalienable. Unalienable. Number 9. Sovereign or Sovereign Universal Community Trust is hereby established as the supreme jurisdiction in the nations / land masses which ratify the terms of this treaty, having united by mutual consent and in common unity, in order to deliberate, determine and act jointly for the purposes of the restoration of natural law upon earth, as well as bringing about an end to all wars, genocide, agendas, debt, slavery, usury, famine, poverty, pollution and preventable diseases. That's massive, isn't it? That's in itself just... No individual or legal entity is above natural law. Yeah, we've told you about that. We've stated what they are, what rights they've got, how they set up agreements, how these contracts aren't contracts, what man can do, what corporations can do, what the memorandums and articles of associations that trustees and CEOs have got to be compelled by. When there is a non-living entity, there is no representation, liability, same as the government. It doesn't really exist. There's a lot of people in offices, but the actual idea of government is just really an idea. Have we done number 11? In positive law, a sovereign is one who governs themselves independently of any foreign control in the union and exercise of all lawful powers possessed and exercised by a sovereign head of state and or government. In natural law, a sovereign is a man, woman who exercises his unalienable right to self-govern under universal common unity trust. All grantors, trustees and beneficiaries are therefore considered sovereigns of equal status. Equality is paramount. Each of whom acts in a sovereign capacity at all times. Number 12. Government is the manner in which sovereignty is exercised in each sovereign state and or nation, and democracy is that form of government in which the sovereign power is exercised by the people in a body politic. Democratic government is the body politic which purportedly exercise the sovereign power of the people who elected it, notwithstanding the opposition of a majority of those subject to its jurisdiction against their will. Self-government and democratic government are therefore mutually exclusive and cannot coexist in any nation. Self-government and democratic government are therefore mutually exclusive and cannot exist in any nation. Cannot coexist. That's the important part. While you've got them both together, they cannot coexist. The purported right, number 13, the purported right to enforce democratic, autocratic, despotic government policy by coercive and or deceptive methods is always and without exception a breach of natural law and therefore void ab initio, even when such methods of enforcement are permitted or prescribed under statutes and or the orders of unlawful and or de facto courts and or governments. Wow, yes, I agree. Motion carried. 14. In the absence of the voluntary and unambiguous consent of the self-governed, representative government or administration cannot rightfully exist. 15. Pursuant to the principles of natural law, man has the unalienable right to self-determination and self-governance, and therefore, at any time, choose to revoke his citizenship or deny his consent to be governed, yes, by or subjected to any administration or entity or individual, but shall always, in any event, be responsible for his actions under the guiding principles of natural law. Number 16. This is epic. Any man who does not revoke or deny his consent to be governed by or as a citizen of any purported authority is free from government control and perceived statutory mandated obligations, restrictions and restraints imposed by the state that he was formally or supposedly governed by, when you was acting as the straw man and when you had your public liability, you know, when you was wearing the persona. Any and all agreements purportedly made for and on behalf of the indigenous peoples, number 17 by the way, of the earth, do not in any way bind those who have revoked or denied their consent to be governed by them. Nor do any of these agreements preclude the unalienable rights of the indigenous peoples to self-determination and self-governance, as is recognised under the established conventions of international law. 18. Living freely in peace is within any common unity's equitable standards, and does not create any harm, loss, injury, damage or liability or compromise a breach of the peace in any way. That's important. Living freely in peace is within any common unity's equitable standards and does not create any harm, injury, loss, damage, liability or compromise a breach of the peace in any way whatsoever, whereas violence, which only begets more violence, has been monopolised by successive, unaccountable and or purportedly democratic governments, long since dominated by private interests, resulting in persistent, continuing and increasing actions that work to the detriment of mankind and the earth. Declaration of unalienable rights, unalienable. Therefore, in affirmation of our birthrights and with a view to preventing further crimes against mankind and the earth, it is declared that we are all unalienable endowed with, number 1, the right to live freely in peace without encumbrances of all natures and descriptions, and to deny or revoke our consent to be governed, regulated or coerced in any manner whatsoever. Number 2, the right to hold and use and enjoy any and all property in our peaceful possession without having to pay for the use or enjoyment of it. The right to parcel of permanent land in a religion. Number 3, the rights to a parcel of permanent land in the region of our birth, including water, mineral and air to use, to live upon and within, for the purposes of making a home, raising children and a family, growing food and self-realisation, which shall be held free and clear in perpetual private trust for the benefit of the next generation. Such rights may be exchanged for similar rights to land in other parts of the earth in accordance with the agreement of the parties. Number 4, the right to use all necessary and reasonable defences to protect ourselves, our kin, our interests, including the appointment and authorisation of defenders of the peace in any community in the event of any and all circumstances. Number 5, the right to refuse to supply or to initiate the recall of an intimate or non-intimate DNA sample for any purpose whatsoever. DNA sample. The right to refuse to supply. The right to refuse to supply, number 6, or to initiate the recall of samples of our bodily fluids, skin, hair, bones, organs or tissues in the event of any and all circumstances. That's quite important because the white paper and bill that's being passed or is being passed for assumed consent for your organs. So if you are involved in a road traffic accident and suffer a fatality as a result, you know, you haven't that now informed the present government that you do not wish your organs to be recycled and harvested. Your organs will be recycled and harvested by the present government at hand and their private corporations. So, number 6, the right to refuse to supply or to initiate the recall of samples of our bodily fluids, skin, hair, bones, organs or tissues in the event of any and all circumstances. That covers that, doesn't it? Number 7, the right to refuse to be medicated by any individual, government, corporation, organisation or legal entity under any circumstances whatsoever, as well the right to medicate ourselves as we see fit. Sections. You know, that's all I'll say there. Number 8. Sections. The right to cultivate, harvest, store, trade, barter and or use for our own purposes any and all organic substances which will grow or form naturally upon the earth. Now this number 8 needs a bit of a modification there, because when we look at trade, levy, barter, things like this, it's not so much equal, and some have more than others. So to get equality and to get this sorted out and to get the network up and running, number 8 would need some attention to detail. Number 9, the right to refuse to be bound by the unlawful judgments, orders, warrants, directives and or rulings of the de facto courts and false government of any entity, party or individual claiming jurisdiction over us. Number 10, the right to sovereign and class 1 diplomatic privileges, including, without limitation, the right to use a diplomatic passport or port pass, diplomatic premises and diplomatic modes of transport, as well as immunity from legal obligations that we have not expressly consented to in any foreign jurisdiction. Number 11, the right of superior guardianship over our offspring from the date of conception, which shall be presumed to be held jointly with the other biological parent or guardian until proven otherwise under the oath or affirmation, without limitation and strictly precluding civil regulations of any kind under any circumstances whatsoever. Wow, that just sorted me out with the Child Support Agency, wouldn't it, all them years ago? So going forward, there's a bit of protection here for you. Number 12, the right to hold exclusive powers of attorney over the physical bodies and possessions of our offspring, which shall be considered to be held jointly. I've just read that. Number 13, the right to educate our children at home or in any way we deem to be beneficial for the physical, intellectual, emotional and spiritual development, without limitation, supervision, intervention, inspection or interference of any and all natures and descriptions. Someone's got in court recently, I posted something about that, a woman's got put into court for getting permission to homeschool the kids. She's homeschooled the kids and then they've taken the kids off her, they've put the kids into care, kids go into care. It's downhill from there. Number 14, the rights of full freedom and intercourse of trade and navigation. I don't like the word intercourse, to be fair. The rights and full freedom and intercourse of trade and navigation to and from any port or place on the earth, including, without limitation, the rights to cross international borders and to return to the land of our physical birth at our sole discretion and without interference, taxation or undue delays of any and all natures and descriptions. 15. The right to make, deposit and benefit from our own currency or medium of exchange without charges, taxes or interest until such a time mankind frees itself from physiological dependence upon the abstract concept of money, currency and cash as a means of denoting the value and progress of our very existence. So currency is an instrumentation that we presently have at minute that allows you to add a financial value to an object. So it is not money. Cash and currency are different, which we've extensively, blown out of the water there and exposed to you. Number 16, the right to expect no detainment, supervision or arrest without sealed writ issued by a rightful authority alleging breaches of natural law. The right to be presumed innocent of allegations until proven otherwise before a jury of our peers and the protection of the common unity wherever we may roam. The right to life, health, well-being, privacy and silence. Number 18, we're at the end. The right to freely assemble, expression, thoughts of any and all natures and descriptions, the right to determine our own spiritual or religious and non-religious paths. In the most simplistic of terms, let all men in all land masses, nations, under universal community trust be self-governed by the divine maxim, my rights end where yours begin. And it is this is all rights reserved under universal community trust, so you cannot go and take this, copy this, use it, reproduce it, you know what I mean? This is just something for evaluation. So as we are becoming ambassadors for freedom, peace, equality, truth, unconditional love and common unity, and we are setting up a new common unity of how to interpret the exterior, the matrix of which we find ourselves in, we are finding out that we do have the choice, the freedom of choice. We don't have to consent to what next door but one or next door but two consent to. We do have the option of consent. You have to be very careful though about how you do this, and this is where 6 months ago I was about to give up. A lot of the admins were getting very frustrated with the amount of work and groundwork that we was doing. We was in a horrendous amount of groups. As I said, we joined. We were there, the number 98 to 105, 107 membership in the ARC Payments Treasury Direct account. We was in there and talking and messaging and searching out stuff well before the 5,000 that are there now. So it's your choice. We're not going to tell you. You've got to work it out for yourself. And the ones that are telling you, you need to be wary of and find out why they are telling you. So that's epic. 2018, you know, this is going to be covered in the review for the end of the year. Just before New Year's Eve, we'll have an online massive chat. We'll have a group family update at some point just before the new year, and say what we've done in the last year, review the membership, review the private domain, the forums, buying the Anglo Mobile Defender unit. I'm going to get off the grid and go self-employed. The HHO will be a self-employment route for myself. We'll continue doing the work that we're doing here within the group of Facebook, so don't worry, it's going to stay here, but you need to know the limitations of which we have, like me getting taken off out from action for 7 days, receiving sanctions from you know, Fedbook itself, from the administrators of this publicly run, privately owned domain that's subject to terms and conditions of which you must select yes or you can't use your account. So you're going to have the option to come across to the private domain, www.splspro.com. You will have to pay a small membership fee. This is just because we need the funds to run. I'm setting up another fund. I've closed down the first fund that was opened up to pay for websites, meetings and get a car. That was publicly announced. I set up a fundraiser account and said this account is for sole use. It's to keep it all. It's for websites, seminars and a van, a minivan or something. We've got the minivan. I've still got my pink Tigra. That's getting parked up. Yanka, that'll be for you when you're older. The blue one will be used for myself and family, and it will be when I'm self-employed. I can't be attending private residential, you know, I can't be helping inhabitants of the Anglo inhabitants or brothers and sisters if I'm tied down to a job 40 hours a week. So that's going to go. I'm going to work around my own time. I'm going to manage my own time, self-governing, self-managing. And then I'll be able to get to the others that are available, and we will get more on this bailiff response now. We will look at networking with other peoples. We're looking for benefactors. We're looking for grantors. We're looking for settlors, you know, people that might want to put money into the public pot. These 13 trustees will be managing that public pot. It needs to be 13 for a reason. Matthew B, should I say, gave me the idea. He's been having a chat with me behind the scenes, so we have got some constructive ideas for going into 2018, and we need to start expressing our private trust. So if I'd have done that for real and I'd got everything down in the correct exact way that it wants to be down with the correct wording, you know, and I'd have expressed that, then that declaration and that treaty, you know, could have been expressed and put into effect. But as it is, that wasn't me expressing a private trust. That was me saying there's information come to hand, and I'm reading the YouTube video of which is on the I've said his name and I forgot it now. The Bernician on YouTube, and they've got a website with the Universal Trust, you know, sovereign, the Universal Common Unity Trust set up. So we need to go and contact them next, see where they're at, have a look at them, give me background information on these people. We'll have a look at what they've done with regards to a treaty. We need to form a treaty, and we need to stand, you know, we need to be able to make a sovereign common unity trust is where I'd say, and we could perhaps have a shell trust with other trusts in it. You guys need to have a chat with us, work out what you think is best, how to express your own. You won't be putting your own private trusts in here with us. We will be doing something like, let me think, what did somebody say? If you get a notification from the local arm of the government and it's a PCN, and on that PCN it stipulates on this notice that the legal registered keeper has been sent a notification, and they're advising that in this notice, you know what type of notice it is now, that they're going to apply this notice. If there is no response, you would respond saying something like, you would be the trustee of this vehicle, you are not the driver, and you would require of the claimant information and proof of whom that driver is. And once they can provide proof and information whom the driver is that the PCN is being applied to, then you will let them and inform them know and perform your obligation as a trustee, and let the beneficiary know, who would be the driver, that they have a charge against their legal person. So we don't have to go to court and argue certain things, and driver and, you know, sovereign and oaths and that. There are other ways to say, okay, we acknowledge, we're willing to deal. Let's put the ominous back on the local government of the people that are purporting that there's a claim. You know, we're claiming this, so who brings the claim must. So let's use this corrupt, evil system and its words and meanings and not fight it. And let's say, willing to deal with it. I'm the trustee, I am the registered keeper, but I am not the driver. There are few drivers connected to this vehicle, mode of conveyance, motor car. Choice of words again, but this is a legal situation, and it's regarding a legal setup. So you use the words vehicle, you would be using the registered keeper, you would be using the word trustee, and you'd be using the word beneficiaries or beneficiary. So then we put it back to say, tell us who you believe was driving. If you can't tell us who you believe was driving, we are not obliged to inform you who was driving. Neither can we be sure with a clear conscience of whom was driving, and we are willing to deal with this. Ha ha! So it's massive. It's not just about us telling you how to fix a PCN. You know, there's a post by somebody, Mandy somebody, is it? Amanda somebody. I'm not happy about that. I'm not happy about that at all. We aren't established to sit here 24/7 and tell you how to fix your life. 2 years ago, in November 2015, David, the private man who was upset, suicidal, in turmoil about many and various things, legal things in his private life, didn't have this group, didn't have these administrators, didn't have these knowledgeable members, didn't have the 300 PDFs that we've uploaded, didn't have all the YouTube links, specifically tailored courses, free courses, videos, links and playlists expressly constructed and linked and brought to you. We had to do all this work ourselves, go down rabbit holes, get sleep tired, you know, just zombie-like states in a way, confused, stressed out, tired, you know, believing here that there is something and we can find the remedies and the correct remedies, and not cross-mix, mix the jurisdictions. And we were purposely being led down the wrong path by quite a lot of big players. And we've had to make revisions. I've looked at some videos of mine regarding the council tax and ringing Derby City Council, and I was saying to the team leader for the council tax benefit inquiry helpline that my council tax, I was willing to deal with it, and I was going to offer to pay it using the gyro credit slip here at the bottom that they give you, and I was going to use that and pay for it using the bills of exchange and a promissory note. That was an error. I didn't know. You actually A for V it. You'd A for V you like you do your utility bills. But we're on a learning curve, and we're trying. We're making videos. We're putting ourselves out there. We're doing the groundwork. We are prepared to take criticism. We don't mind. We've got shills and trolls on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, on Indigo Child's had a comment made on every one of his videos. If you look at my most recent video, I think it's Darius the Persian. YouTube fans and followers, subscribers, you need to go on to Darius the Persian. He's not put any videos on his channel. He hasn't uploaded any videos. He hasn't publicly said what his opinion is. He hasn't put himself out there like we do, which is the hardest part of anything to do. When you're not confident, you're not perfect, you can't say the big words correctly. Takes a big effort for me to do something like this. It's a big effort. It's a lot of research. You know, we're doing all this for not much at all. Non-for-profit. Yeah, the money that we've taken has been reinvested in the publicly advertised places that I said it would go. It's all legal and above board. There's no fraud, deception. You've got full disclosure. You've got an armoury of weaponry at your feet there. So to the lady that's made the recent comment about feeling sad, well, I feel sad that you feel sad because you're not of the cognitive, vibrational, receptive level to cognise what to do when you've got the tools in front of you, and it's people like this that you need to step up. And without me being offensive and horrible, if you can't step up and you can't use the group and you can't use the search button, you can't look at the posts, you can't scroll down them, you can't read through the PDFs, you can't use an alternative engine to Google, which I would suggest one of is DuckDuckGo. With regards to a YouTube comment about me using YouTube, it's what I mean when you put yourself out there. Check this. Don't use Google as a search engine, I said. Use DuckDuckGo. It's not filtered as much. Kind of claims to be a bit more private than the rest of the metadata search engines out there. Then I upload a video to YouTube about hydrogen technology, so which I get a response of, don't listen to this man, he talks rubbish because he said not to use Google, and here he is on Google uploading videos to YouTube, which is owned by Google, which I willingly admit, yes it is, and I know that, but I don't care because I haven't got time to make another account. Everything's all in one place. I've got the subscribers, and I make my own choices. I've made a sacrifice. Eventually, when I get self-employed and I've got my own time and I'm no longer a victim of this, then I will get, and we'll sort this out later on. But we are just a small setup. We haven't got we haven't got a head office. We haven't got a paid income. We haven't got a definitive plan. We're doing the best that we can. So if you're sad and unhappy, I'm sad that you're sad because you've got everything you need to sort yourself out to get in there. PCNs are small fry. Claims made against a legal person, as I've set out in here. You know, there's bigger things at hand. There's massive bigger things at hand. So please rewind this video. You have permission to download and share it, like the other one that had 2,009,743 views. Wow, do it. Contact here on Facebook. When you want to contact us privately, you will visit www.spls Sierra Papa Lima Sierra Papa Romeo Oscar splspro.com. I have an email for that. I'll put that on later. The website https://sovereignparalegals.uk has got an email on, and that is for, you would use contact at sovereignparalegals.uk. That's a 365 office secure email. But the sovereignparalegals.uk, that costs roughly 250-ish quid to set up, fund and whatever. That'll be expiring in March, so that'll be going. I'll transfer all of the site content from that first site over to the site, which is splspro.com. splspro.com will be the primary site, which will be a paid for members only site running in conjunction with Sovereign Paralegals on Facebook. Admins are needed, trustees are needed, site admins are needed. I need some people to help me moderate, help us moderate this private domain. Yeah, if I set up and we establish a private domain, when it has issues, it goes down, or there's administration, the back office. Richard Ansar, I might need to speak to you about how you manage your Guardian website and how you interact with the back office, and if you have a team, and how often things need administering, what kind of templates and who you've got, you know, your host and stuff. That'd be good. Also to catch up where I'm at with the regards to this trust, the shell trusts, the Sovereign Universal, well, the Universal Community Trust, and obviously the Sovereign Community Trust, which would be maybe our trust inside another trust, protected by, but independent and private. So it's epic. We've had our 2-year birthday. We're going to do an end of year review. This is going to be kept short and sweet. I have been offline for 1 week. I've got probably 700 notifications I need to catch up with, loads of YouTube comments. I'm still constructing and building and researching the back office and how to make splspro.com you know, everything we want it to be. Compared to Facebook, it'll be a very skeleton type page. It will be very basic. It's not going to have all the features of Facebook, so do not be disappointed. Be grateful that we've talked about it, we've put things in place, we've had meetings and seminars, we've given away and paid for t-shirts, of which Mick Bowner haven't had the full delivery. You still haven't honoured, while he's going around slagging off my admins and brothers and sisters and what they may do in their private time. End of January, I gave Mr. Mick Bound, brother Mick, I gave him nearly 500 quid, 395, 450, something like that, in good faith of my own taxed income, my money, currency that was from my legal person's bank account that had been taxed and come in. I sent it to him end of January, and then things happened. I didn't get them for the first seminar, and our first seminar was July. No t-shirts. February, March, April, May, June, 5 months. I had £395, 450 of my money. Yeah, I gave it you in good faith. I sent it you via bank transfer. You could have printed a t-shirt a day, brother, and I'd have got them before you'd have gone on holiday with the stag do, with John. So I don't fight. I don't get into this because I don't want to waste my finite time on people that are trying to distract us and take up our time, pull us apart, and, you know, render our reputation soiled, damaged. Defamation of character and slander is a dangerous game to play. We only speak the truth. There are two sides to every story, and you don't always get the truth when you get the side of the story. So yeah, we stay out of it, but there is a lot of mudslinging going off. There's a lot of politics going off. There's people with views and opinions that don't match this group's views and opinions. So if you are a member of our family and you do not agree with trust and equity and at law and at private and the things that we discuss and the direction that we're taking, then like I said to Darius the Persian on YouTube, who's commented on every single one of the 102 videos that I've done, he doesn't like them, he doesn't agree with them, he's never done a video, he's never put up his own opinion, he hides behind a fake name because that isn't his username. I suggest that he stop watching my videos and leave my channel. Perhaps put one up of his own and let us know what his views and opinions are. So, whatever you want to throw mud and have a go at people for trying to help, and you know, if we're going to give you information that and inform you of things that you're not going to get at university, you're not going to get it off a solicitor, you're not going to get it off a barrister, and we will source and citate the reason and the legal lawful remedy of what we've got. And as we've said before, if you go on this learning curve to the lady that's not happy about not getting any help because we're all busy running our own lives, working as you know, slaves in servitude, and then managing this group free in our own time for people like you, women like you, to sit back and feel sad and complain when you know, this is it. It's up to you. It's on you. It's not on us. All we've done is facilitated and put ideas out there. You must provide your own remedy. We can vet it and say whether or not it's going to be something you can do and it's going to get recognised, like having clean hands and keeping in honour, things like that, if you've been honourable. Because if you've not, you'll get a default judgment, and your default judgment will be against you. And if you go and see, and then you try and blame us. So you must understand, overstand, innerstand and the legal terms, and cognise and comprehend on the other side what it is, who it is, and how you're going to choose to identify, basically. Epic times. It's killed me being away for a week, which is why I've done this video. Anybody that has Matthew B, you need to speak to me. Sorry mate, I've been so snowed under with doing the hydrogen, setting all that up, getting the hydrogen systems running on the 1.9 TDI. I've had a maximum of 115 mpg out of it in a minute, so I'm in the process of tuning the engine decarb machine. That takes an hour to go through your system and decarb. It uses electrolytes, it uses the car battery, and it runs on amps and volts. So again, like the websites, I've had to learn and cognise new information, as well as, you know, working in the background. I haven't really kept an eye on you all, so I've enjoyed taking a week off, and I've got the sound mind. Carl Gettins, Warren, Liam, other people that have told me, Sharon, Innie, to take a break and not to burn myself out. I do feel I can trust you guys with my life, and you are self-governing, you are everything that we need the group and the family to be. There is no concern from me anymore. If anybody comes in and tries to deconstruct or pull us apart, it is reassuring, and it is humbling for me to see how you manage, how you deal. We don't attack people that attack us. We don't give volatile people and situations the attention that it needs. You must consider muting people, removing people, banning people, barring people, until I get this SPLspro.com set up. This is going to be epic. It is very hard. I do need some help and advice. If you look at the website, you'll see how far I've got within a week. Because I listened to you guys and I tried something different, and I tried to do different things, I ended up messing up the name servers, which is a big deal when you're doing websites, because it's to do with your IP and your name. And I bought and registered at one place a new one that I'd not done with the previous eco carbon solutions that I did for Surge, sovereign paralegals that I've done for us, and this one that I'm doing now, SPLspro.com, I did differently to them, and it was harder, more difficult, not familiar, different you know, templates and instruments. So I got through it, but I got blocked from building it for 72 hours while I had to get in touch with HostGator in America and WordPress, and I had a propagation issue sorted, but give me a 3-day headache, so I was banned from a group and I couldn't build the site. I've nothing more to touch base on at the minute. This is going to be discussed, like I say, at the next seminar. I don't know when the next seminar is. Perhaps we should go down south. I don't think the Birmingham one would be the best. I think we get a better turnout if we try to go north of the London. Then let's not go all the way down deep dirty south, but give me some ideas. Admins, Liam, Dean, Innie, Luke, David, Russell, Baron, everybody, Sharon, I can't think of you all, Luke, yes, David, there's loads of you. Let me know if you've got any ideas for London. We'll put some money in the pot. I'll donate some money, set up another fund. The money will come in once the people and the members come from YouTube, and you will be paying a £1 or maybe £2 a month to have the membership to our private forum. This is all how we need to do it. We can look at perhaps letting some people come into the Facebook group that can't afford the membership on the private side, and then the people that are successfully passing or that assimilate and cognise the information from the trust and equity side of it and the private as opposed to the at law. Then once you pass that, or you've cognised everything and you're at a satisfactory level, you're able to express a private trust, and you know, you've got your declaration and everything, and you know what the res is, and you know you're confident in all aspects of equity, trust, at law, private, public. Then you would be offered the chance to be an admin in SPLs on Facebook, and then the SPLs on Facebook would have the admins that are past. The newer admins will be ones that are past and knowledgeable within the equity and trust side, and anybody that couldn't join the private forum that is stuck for whatever reason, then you will not be left out in the cold, and you will get remedy through private message, through the open and free Facebook, you know, forum domain that we've got. Now, how do we protect the private domain from malicious users? We can't. We're not psychic. We're not mind readers. So I need the help of the admins before we go live with the private domain. I need to protect it. I've protected it in quite a few ways, but we need to protect and be able to search. And when you request to join us, you will not be instantly let in unless we know you, unless you've been recommended. So you will need a recommendation from another existing, knowledgeable, known of member, admin, moderator, or existing user. It's going to be a private recommendation only, paid for, a small fee. We've seen how the last 20 years have gone, and we've talked about the oppression, we've talked about the establishments, we've talked about the wars, and that what begets violence only begets violence, and we've seen that free things only beget free things. Like I've mentioned with the forums, with me and the domain registration, the bandwidth, the amount of data you can have, the amount of users you can have, the amount of, when you go free, it's all limited. And the same with this game. When you go free, as Serge and I said on the video, free man, it's all an illusion. We're sorry, that's the system we're in, and we will look to change it, and we will look, as I've said in that proposed declaration, or that treaty even, of how we're going to go forward. But it's not instant, and we've got to start somewhere, and we need to start protecting ourselves. So you would all pledge into this as you know, for your identity, but you wouldn't pledge your possessions, items. You won't be putting a res into here. This is different. This is a God Lord, yeah. This is what I mean. I can't explain it all to you, but this is to do with your status and not having an oath, and making a treaty and having a universal community trust, or a collection of sovereigns within trust in a massive shell trust. Then you'd have your private trust as well running alongside with specific items as reses in them. So again, I'm not telling you what to do. These are just options that we've brought to the table within the last 6 months. When we brought this to the table, you was all wanting us to tell you, and we couldn't, because we have to learn and assimilate and cognise this information and be able to cognise and understand it, and stand on it, stand over it, stand under everything, which we can't do, and we're honest and open about that. So some of you have run off and done some things. I'm interested to see what's working, what you've got answers from, what you haven't. Epic. Thank you very much. Peace, love and light, sovereigns. So yeah, all is well. Expect me. I'm catching up over the next 24, 48 hours. You've had an absolute up-to-the-minute update. Anybody that needs anything, let us know. You must tag us, because there's that much activity, and we're that snowed under with everything. And the time of year, 10th of December, bailiff season. They are coming for your presents. They're coming for the kids' stuff. They're coming for your cars. They're coming to seize goods to the value of. Remember, who are you? How strong are you? What have you got? What do you know? How do you protect your property, your rights? Do you know how to protect them? Do you know how to set your status? That's all in here. All I can say is we have a search box in this family, and it's been two years and a bit now. So that what we've got post-wise is probably 50,000 posts and over 300 PDFs. You don't need us. What you need to do is search keywords in the box: bailiff, bill, order, CCJ, judge, court, presumption, assumption, maxim, private, public, equity, contract, agreement, constructed, rights, repossession, court order, liability, all these kind of words. Don't put sentences in. And then as you search, use a laptop. It's a lot better. You get more it's a better layout. You can do things more controlled. Your phone is no good for this. Get yourself on a laptop or a desktop. View the files with that laptop and desktop. Save them all. Get yourself a USB in one of the drives. As soon as you save them, just click right click save, or download and save. Drag them all to your USB. Back up all our files that are of interest to you. You can fit 300 or whatever there is on there on a PDF on a USB of about I think 10 gig, 10 gig. Then you can search for videos. In the search box, you can put posts by David Jeremita, posts by Liam, posts by Dean, post by. So if you see an admin and you've been talking to them and they've informed you, not advised, informed you, then once you've gone away and then you come back and we're that busy, everything gets mixed up. You'll get lost. So you use the search box and use the admin's name that was informing you, or you was last in touch with, or the other member. If it's a member in the group and you've seen a member post something like William Brewis and Stuart somebody, and oh wow, we've got so many clever, knowledgeable, helpful, friendly, open members that post so much brilliant stuff. So just look for the member, put their name in the search box or a keyword, the member's name, the post thread, and you'll pick it up. Like I say, you need to learn this. It's called We've Got to Be Cruel to Be Kind. We've gone from being babies to, to children. We've gone from the adolescent period now, and now we're going into the age of, well, we've gone from the age of maturity. We're in the age of majority. You're about to go from maturity to majority, and that's the stepping stone that you need to take yourself. We are here to hold your hand. We are here to give you references to what books to get, like Richard's put down. The amount of people, Barry Atkins, you little beauty. Them posts that you put up the other day, I've got so much to catch up with. That's another thing. One man can't do all this. One of you couldn't do all this. Two of us can't do all of this. As a family in a group, and using this as a central hub, we can do this together. Then what we're going to do is put the cream of the crop and the successes and the wins and that in posts and forums, dedicated, titled forums with structure and control on spospro.com. It's going to be massive. It's going to be a lot of work, but we're going to form an alliance, an allegiance, a treaty, a trust, a new kind of conscious evolution and direction for man and our children's children. And 0 Point Energy has been mentioned, Jack Fresco, the Venus Project, Ubuntu, Michael Tellinger, any of the speakers that we need to know about, the Goldfish Report, Bonacci, McRae, anybody else that's speaking, Lentz, Shrout, all the big leaders and the talkers. We are getting to the stage now where we can actually start revising stuff that they've brought to the table. We're now starting to make anew and write anew the systems, the way that it's governed, the way that it's interpreted, the implied meanings and definitions, the actual natural law, how these trusts and agreements and relationships are. We actually are being pioneering areas. We are changing stuff as we speak. I don't know if you know this, but when you are in the middle of it and you're changing it, it seems like nothing is happening. But a lot is happening. A lot of fantastic, incredible, amazing, cutting edge things are happening that money cannot buy. There's people coming to the group saying that they're so happy, that they're so bestowed, and they've had a little cry to find people that believe, people that try, people that trust, men, not people, men that understand, overstand, understand, men that cognise, men that will take the time, to help, cite, give the government documents, provide videos, sit down and make private phone calls. The fact that you go into each other's houses and meeting up because you live round the corner from each other, you're realising people are in trouble, you might be off work, you might be retired, you might have a shop, these things, these common unity things are the focus. Once they can't touch us if we stick together. When they isolate us and we're all sat in a room and there's just us and we may be house sharing, but you never talk to nobody in your house. Things like that, this common unity and things is the way forward. So have a look, rewind this video. It's a massive update because I've been banned for a week. What you've done as a whole is fantastic. It's better than I could have ever imagined. You work without instruction. You work doing what you want to do, how you want to do it, and when you want to do it. If anybody questions you or starts ordering you, you know how to ask them and to put them on, on the square and say, who are you? Where's your authority, your jurisdiction? Who are you after? I am not that. I will agree to be that if so. And there is a little bit of hate. Be wary of what we're doing, and people are looking to obviously not disfranchise, disassociate, but they're looking to put us down, or they're looking to provide fake news, so to speak, or they're looking to distract from the objective and the mission at hand. We are quite good at doing that. Gary Davis, before he lost the plot, and went against us and started making crazy comments, and we had all that issue with Mick and what he posted about Barron and the madness there. Gary said that he admired the way that the group run, and that he aspired his group to be like ours, which is what's his group, UK Laws and Secrets, was it? Yeah, 20-odd thousand summit members. He was quite a a respected brother at the time, and I did make him an admin of SPLs. I'd made an error in judgment, it seems, and for one reason and another, with regards to the Scottish request for help with a court case, and then the comments that got put about, we all fell out, and we had to remove him and sanction the guy because he wasn't being fair, he wasn't playing the game, he was making unjustified claims, making comments, defamation of character and slander, all the things that we don't do. So I apologise for that, and we will deal with stuff and stick together and support our own wherever we need to. But when we get bad apples and we get people that suddenly turn rogue or change their opinion or views or attack one of ours, we will ask for evidence. I did ask to see proof common law had been broken. None had. So we don't get weaker, we get stronger. We're getting very strong now. I'm immensely proud of all of you, of all the the membership. Somebody made a comment about the numbers in here. It's not about the quantity, it's always about the quality. And my rights end where yours begin. Take that from all of this. Yeah. So the government's rights end where yours begin. And if people don't respect your rights, then they abuse your rights. That's an abuse of your property. An abuse of your property is trespass. Trespass is terrorism, So there are ways and means to sort this out. You've got the capability. I am going to be playing catch up. Bear with me, because the website is going to be a week at least before you can at least get on and register and create your very own profile with a picture. Similar to Facebook. I'm trying to get away from all of this, but initially for the money and the currency, once we decide to get rid, and we put things in place, a transitional network of, we can't just stop something and start. If you're an alcoholic, you don't just stop drinking and then just only drink water and tea. You need that transitional process. It will, hopefully, one will go down as one come up, so it will be an X. That one's going to drop, isn't it? And that one, as that one drops, and there'll be a crossover point, should start leveling off. You've got it all there now. This is the best and the most powerful thing you can ever consider to do for your children, for your children's children. You want to reclaim all the things that you've registered and handed over legal title and ownership. You want to take control of your estates and your future and put things into trust. Think about last wills and testaments, trustees, special trustees, relationships, treaties, declarations, community, universal community trusts, being sovereign and stepping out of the matrix. Getting control of your life. I think this is where we need to head as a community, as a social, bunch of children of the Creator. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. The blockchain system is managing us. Hello to Sophia, GCHQ, MI5, all the other government bodies and agents and shields that are monitoring and watching us. We commit no harm, injury and loss. We do no wrong. We break no laws. That's it. Thank you. Ciao Bello. Peace, love and light. Yes, that was epic.